Thank you for coming to this presentation on building partnerships with parents. I'm Sarah Underwood, and I'm so excited for this asynchronous presentation with you. I feel that building partnerships with parents is so valuable, and I'm glad you chose to learn more about ways to do it. I went to UCR for my bachelor's degree and master's degree. I have taught elementary school for 14 years. I moved from California to Arizona 11 years ago. I certified as a national board teacher in 2018 and recertified in 2022. My why for education is I love kids and I love learning, and combining them makes a lot of sense. For this presentation, my why for it, why I wanted to share this information with you, is when I first became a teacher, I loved the kids, but I was scared of teaching parents, or not teaching parents, communicating with parents. I didn't know how to talk to them. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know when I should say it. And it was very scary for me. So over the years, I have found ways to build that partnership with parents that now it's something I enjoy and I'm glad I get to do. So I want you to become confident as well. So our learning target is I know ways to build positive relationships with parents, and I am confident I can do it. So I did have this slide deck available for you. So if you just enter that bit.ly link at that bottom, you'll be able to have access to the slides. And then from there, all these burgundy boxes, you'll be able to click on the links there and they'll have you make a copy. So if you want to pause and then type that in and get access to the slides, feel free to. For those of you who love taking notes, I'm a note taker, so I had to give the note, action note for you. So right here, you just click on it, you'll click make a copy, and then it goes through how do you currently feel about building partnerships with parents? Are you confident? Are you nervous? Are you excited? And then it goes through each of the success criteria we're going to do. It gives you a place to write what are you planning on starting the year? What's a step you're going to take to communicate with parents during the year? When there's academic concerns, behavioral concerns, how will you prepare for parent teacher conferences? And then at the very end of this presentation, come back to these action notes if you choose to use them and go back. How do I feel now about building partnerships with parents? Has there been a change from how you started to the end? I hope there is. So, the start of the year, what do you do? Ongoing communication throughout the year. What do you do? Academic concerns. What can you do? Behavioral issues, parent teacher conferences, and then general tips. And all of these are focused around building that partnership with parents. So, tips for how to start the year. I send home a letter to my parents. I tell them about myself, my credentials, my experience, my behavioral management style. I let know parents I let parents know that this is to be a partnership between us, that I want open communication, and I give them ways to contact me. Here's a template of what I use at the start of the year. Feel free to make a copy and then change it for what works best for you. I put blanks for the information for what you would change automatically. And then, of course, feel free to change anything or add things. This is just an idea of some things that you can reach out to parents with knowing. And then at the bottom, I do put in color the best ways to contact me because I know that I want it to stand out. I also, just a quick tip for those of you interested in it, I set up a Google phone number for myself. So I don't have to use my personal number, but I have a Google phone number that I give out to parents that they can reach out to me using, and that if there's ever any reason to, I can easily change that number without affecting my personal life. So that's just another option for building that communication, especially a couple years ago during COVID, it was a lifesaver for me. So that's one thing you can do. Another way to build positive relationships with parents at the beginning of the year is a positive phone call home. This is my top suggestion for starting the year. Call parents, build that partnership. First, do those difficult students. So I will, even on the first day of school, if I have a three kids that I'm like, I see you're going to make some choices that are not good this year, I want to start building that partnership with parents before any issues come up, before something's thrown in my classroom. I want to start it the best way possible. If it is all possible, this phone call is only positive. I might have started to notice, like, oh, he keeps talking over me, but I'm not going to mention that here. I just want it to be positive. There are times you do have to mention things. If a child hits another student, yeah, I can't ignore that, even on the first day of school. So, trying to be positive whenever possible, making sure the parents know that you want to have open communication with them, that we're a team. And then I, at the start of my career, hated this. Calling parents was very, very tough for me. So I started writing a script and it took off so much stress for myself. I knew what I was going to do, I knew what to say because I'd already thought about it in advance. So here's an example of a script. You will have access to this as well. So feel free to use it or change it, but it gives you an idea of what you could say to parents. Hello, this is Miss Underwood from Pena. I am Stacy's teacher this year. We had a great first day of learning about each other and the expectations and procedures in my class. I am so excited to have Stacy in my class. She has such a great smile. She was willing to help other students today when we were coloring and share her crayons. I am looking forward to working with you this year as I know we must work together to help Stacy succeed. Is there anything you would like me to know or any questions you have? And now I've just taken off all this stress from myself because I know what I'm going to say, and I'm leaving that open door for the parent to let me know information as well. Getting to know your child survey. This is another way I work to get to know parents better. It shows that I want their perspective on their child. It often gives me a heads up on potential issues that come up. It helps build that partnership. I offer it in the home language if possible. Now, I really want you to know it matters when they see it in their home language. In our district, there's a lot of Spanish and English speaking um, families, and so that is our main focus. But I had a family a couple years ago that they spoke French, and that I had taken the time to translate this into French meant a lot to the family. The dad was very appreciative to have things in his language. So whenever possible, offer it in that home language. Google Translate is very helpful for that. Here's a example you can use. This is one I send home. The only thing you'll have to for sure change is adding your school in that bolded part, but change it as much as you want or leave it that way and use it. Another thing that I do, another part of our success criteria is ongoing communication. So making sure that throughout the year, we continue to work on that relationship. It's not one and done, it has to continue on. So I believe in doing either a newsletter or online post. I currently do it every week, just a quick little post on our school district's parent communication site, but whatever works for you once a month, when big things happen, either a paper or if at possible an online presentation, not presentation, post to let parents know what's going on. I do important events. I do what we're learning. I do math, reading, writing, phonics, science, social studies, whatever those big things that there's something going on that I want parents to know and be able to support at home or know about. I make sure I include it. Also, putting info on upcoming tests. Parents are more likely to help their child study if they know what's coming. So, making sure they know what's coming and what's the child can do to practice for it. I love giving quick tips on ways to help in various subjects. So I teach first grade currently. So at the beginning of the year, one of my tips was, hey, have your child practice counting cars or buttons or cereal, physical objects to help them build that one-to-one correspondence. Or a big one I'm always saying is have your child read 20 minutes at least every day. It makes such an impact long term. But after they read, have them draw a picture about their favorite part. And so giving those quick little tips to parents. This is based on your school site, what is okay. If it's possible, include pictures. Parents love seeing what their child is learning at school. It also is an easy way to do an anchor chart that you guys made together as a class. Parents are more likely to look at your newsletter or post if pictures are there of their kid. Send work and updates of how they're doing if it's something you can't send home on like a physical paper that they did to let parents know how their child's doing. Send home the physical work. Let parents know to expect it so it doesn't get lost in a backpack or thrown out. I send messages, text messages, or our parenting messages on our school's communication website, or use that template and just send it home as a piece of paper if it's like a district test that can't go home. So let me give you some examples of that. You might say, "Hello, Stacy took a test on fractions. She got 7 out of 10 problems correct. It would benefit her if Stacy reviewed how to identify equivalent fractions at home. Let me know if you have any questions." Or if it's a district like reading test, which I know a lot of elementary grades, this would be a big one for. "Hello, on our district reading assessment, Stacy read 40 words in a minute on a first grade level passage. When first tested in my class, she read 20 words per minute. At the end of the year, first graders are expected to read 66 words per minute. I'm continuing to practice reading with them in class. Please continue to have them practice at home. Let me know if you have any questions." And just having this, I can just fill in that information really quick, send it home to parent, and then it's a big information thing for parents to know, oh, my child needs to work on reading. I have one parent currently who I was doing this with her, letting her know this one was actually by phone, but I let her know he's struggling on his reading. He did not go up as he should have. And she started having him practice, and now he's gone many words up. And so getting that partnership makes a difference. So here's a quicker, easier way to help build that partnership. I'm going to go back a couple slides. I do have it right here that you can use that template as well for yourself and then edit it and change it as you'd like. Another way to help parents is to create a video of how you do a problem. I did this a lot more when I was teaching third grade because I had parents go, "Oh, this Common Core math," or "I didn't teach it to them like that," or "I don't know how they're doing the problem here." So I'd actually record a video on identifying fractions or a video on equivalent fractions, or even just YouTube, just choose a YouTube video that will help with that skill and share it with parents. A specific task or the steps if you are doing a project that they're actually completing outside of class, giving that information a video that the parents can also see and have access to help support their child. Showing different ways to solve the problem. So sometimes if I was doing an addition problem, I would show multiple ways to solve it in a video and go, "Hey, whatever works best for you and your child at home, have them practice adding." When you have parents that don't speak or read English, a lot of times they are like, "I don't know how to help my child with their homework or to read sight words." So you can do a video of like my current life sight words for first grade is I can record a video of me reading some sight words and send it out to these parents, and then they have access to the word in English and know how to help their child know if they're saying it correctly or not because I've given them it in a video. Continuing with phone calls. Like I said, it was something I really struggled with when I first started teaching, so feel free to use the script still. Choose 1 to 3 students a week and just do a brief phone call home. Like, "Hey, Stacy this week is working really, really hard. I noticed she is struggling with subtracting, with regrouping. I'm practicing with her in a small group at class, but if you can have her practice subtracting at home, I'd really appreciate it. Is there any questions or concerns you have for me?" Listen to their questions or concerns. A lot of times they don't have any, and you just build that partnership more by just taking that little bit of time. There will be academic concerns where you're like, "This child is not growing how they should be." And so telling parents right away, don't wait. Parents want to know sooner rather than later, and they can help their child if they know sooner. So that's really important. When you let them know, be specific. Don't say they're struggling in reading. Let them know they're struggling in reading blends. So having those specific things that they're struggling with, or if it's in math, they're not struggling with math, they're struggling with counting numbers. And whatever that specific skill is, explain ways you are helping them in class, and then give them tips for how they can help them at home. Word problems is an area a lot of kids struggle with. Well, telling parents, like, hey, when you're cooking or you're at a store and you're doing that math naturally, I love this for older grades with the addition and subtraction with regrouping, like where we're budgeting or estimating and going, hey, when you're at the store, have them look at the numbers and the math with you to make sure you guys don't go over budget. Take them in that journey to help make those word problems real. So being specific and then giving that tip. Behavioral issues. As I've often been reminded, I cannot control someone else. I cannot control my children. I can only control my reaction to the situation. And there are times my students choose to do things that I would prefer they don't. And now I have to call their parents to let them know. And it's not fun. It's not my favorite thing. But I have some tips to help you with it so it is better. First, call, don't text. This is a big policy at my personal school that I teach at, but I 100% agree with it. Texts can't convey feelings or emotions the same way, they're just blunt. And when you call instead, you allow the emotion and to be able to show that you care about the child to come through. When you call, focus on behavior. The issue is an action the child chose to make, not the child themselves. The child is not a bad child. The child chose to do something they shouldn't have done. And making that distinction. Remember, this is a partner for the child's success. Convey that you want their child to succeed and you want to work with them to ensure their child's success. They want their child to be successful. You want them to be successful. Take advantage of that. Make sure they know that this is for us to work together to help the child succeed. If it's a situation like where a kid's interrupting, or do you notice that your child doesn't follow directions at home, or things like that, asking if they're seeing that at home, asking ways they handle it at home. Do they have tips for you on those like general little things that they might see at home? If it's a situation with another student that they heard another student or a couple students are involved, don't say another student's name. You can't. You have to make sure it is just their child is the focus. And even if they're like, oh, did other kids go? Are they involved? You go, oh, I can't really talk about the other students. And right now, I really want to focus on helping your child succeed and like changing that focus to your child. Um, but don't give other kids names. Don't give information on consequences given to other students. That's private information. And if they're like, well, I need to know, just go, well, you wouldn't want me to tell other parents about your child. I'm doing the same for them. It's also the law. This is a general um, plan I have here. Definitely, you need to change it and tailor it for the situation. If you just read through this, you're going to mess yourself up. Um, if it's like a issue like hitting, where I wouldn't be asking parents what their suggestion to help them with. I'm going, your child hit another kid. That's not okay at school. So making sure you tailor it to the situation. Um, but it gives you a starting spot that you can then take this plan, change it for whatever situation you are having to deal with at that time. So, for instance, hello, this is Miss Underwood from Pinya. I'm calling to make you aware of a situation that occurred today. Stacy hit another kid at recess. She said she was upset that they were following her, but instead of telling a teacher or telling them to stop, she chose to hit them. Because she chose to hit the child, I am having her write an apology letter to that student at her next recess. I would definitely skip the suggestion one. That's where I'm saying edit it. And then making sure I end it though with that positive that we want to work together. We all make mistakes, and I'm glad Stacy is in my class. I know that together we can help Stacy succeed in school, but making sure you're telling parents. Now, if it's a situation where a kid is not following my directions, that's where I might say, do you have suggestions for my work to help with her following my directions at school? Like asking for that, or going, hey, I notice they're constantly touching other kids. Is that something that you see happening with their friends or brothers or sisters at home? And then asking for more of that information. So definitely be careful with the script, tailor it to the specific situation, but don't be afraid to make a script to help yourself feel more comfortable when calling. Another one that I like to do is I have kids call their parents too. I'll call the parent, go, hey, so and so has something that they need to tell you. And then I hand the phone to the kid. When I've already practiced, I was like, well, what do you have to tell your mom? Well, I lied to the teacher and threw away my work or whatever it is. Having the child tell their parent takes you out of it. Now it's between them and their parent, not you. So when those possibilities are there, I do that. This one is very close to my heart. Call for positive too. My oldest brother definitely was a behavior child at school, and when he was in third grade, he had an older retired or soon to be retiring teacher, and everything was negative. Every phone call, every message, it was all about how bad their kid was. My parents, both of them, began to dread the phone to ring. They just dreaded it because there was never anything good. Well, one day there was a substitute teacher and she found something nice to say about my brother. Don't be that teacher that can never find anything positive about a kid. If a substitute teacher can find it, you can find it. There is a positive thing in every single child. Look for it. Maybe the first 10 minutes of the day, they sat in their desk. Call, let parents know that you are noticing the good. It helps build that partnership because they know you're not just out to get their child, you do see the good there. It shows that it's a partnership that you're not just seeing the negative, you're seeing the good, and that you're wanting to celebrate that good with their parents. So making sure that you're doing that positive phone call as well. Parents will be more receptive to help you with the hard issues if they know you're seeing the good as well. Parent teacher conferences are huge. And when I first started teaching, very stressful for me. Didn't like it. Once again, least favorite part of my job. So here are some steps I have taken over the years that make me go, yeah, let's do these parent teacher conferences. We got this. So, first, follow school expectations for your school and site, whatever is set in place there. My current school, it's not student-led conferences. It doesn't really work and it's not really what's expected at my school. So just being like aware of that. What is expected in your environment? Okay, here's my first big tip. Contact before. If you have an academic or behavior concern for that child, you should have already told the parents. Don't wait until conferences. If you wait until conferences, you're stressed because you're going to have this horrible conference where you're having to tell them how this child is being disrespectful, throwing things, or they don't understand a single thing you've been teaching in reading, writing, or math. And then the parents frustrating because they feel blindsided because they haven't heard anything about this. Tell parents in advance. Use those ongoing communication things I've been telling you. Use it so that when you come to parent teacher conferences, you don't have that stress on yourself and the parents aren't going to be blindsided. Prepare. Build student portfolios in advance. What are you wanting to show the parents of their child's work? Plan for it. If you want them to know how their child is doing on reading comprehension, make sure you give them a reading comprehension test and save it to give to parent teacher conferences. So honestly, probably a month and a half before parent teacher conferences, I have a list of tests that I'm making sure I'm giving out before because I want to show parents these different things. Academic information. Have examples of their work and or district test scores so that you can show them. So my current grade is first grade. So oral reading fluency is huge. How fast are they reading in a minute? And so that's not something like I can send home paperwork, but what I can do is I have an example of what a first grade level passage looks like for the test. And then I have their score, where they started, and where they need to end to be considered first grade level at the end of the year. And so that I'm showing parents. Sometimes parents think their kid's doing fine reading. My cat sat not realizing how much more complicated an actual first grade level passage is with its vowel teams, its blends, its compound words. And so making sure you have an example to show them what it looks like, and also letting them know, hey, your child right now is reading 25 words per minute, but at the end of the year, they should be at 66 words per minute. And then what are you doing to help them? This took off so much stress for myself when I realized just let them know I am working with your child. This is how I'm working to help them succeed. And then giving parents ways to help them at home. So letting them know what you're doing. I'm pulling them for small groups. We're doing a phonics lesson. I'm sending home practice work that they can do at home. Have them practice reading 20 minutes every day. Keeping that what you're doing and how they can help them at home. Student input. So at my school, like I said, it's not really a student-led conference situation that we can really do, but I still want student input. So I have created a student reflection that feel free to copy and change for yourself. Having them, I do this, I give every kid their paper, and then I go through it step by step with them, whole class for them to fill out and know exactly what each like circle here means. Some kids, you may want to pull them one by one to make sure they're understanding where the placement of these things are. But like getting the kids' input on what is their favorite thing in school right now. Making sure like how do they feel? Do they feel like they're listening to the teacher? Or do they feel like, yeah, probably not very much. Having them get their say in it. And this also will help if you do have a kid that is really struggling with listening, because most of the time the kid knows it and will say it. Occasionally, you might have the kid that you're like, yeah, they're saying they're always doing it. They're not. But it is usually the kids are decently honest on these sorts of surveys. And so it just gives a different way to get that student input. And like I said, I have the kids fill it out in advance with me, taking them step by step. Remember, this is all about collaboration. It's a partnership to help their child succeed. So listen to the parents, listen to their concerns. Don't assume. Find out what's going on. Maybe they are reading with their child 20 minutes every day, but the kid's still struggling. Find out, making sure you're listening to them. The sandwich, I'm sure you've heard this before, but it's so important. Start with that positive about their child, then the constructive feedback area of growth, and then back to a positive. Always sandwich it to make sure they know we care about their child and we're being positive. Have that general plan. What subjects do you want to talk about? What tests, what work, behavior, what order? Are you doing a folder? Is it digital? What will parents take home? At my school district, parent-teacher conferences are 15 minutes. So I have to really think in advance what matters the most to communicate to parents. What do I want to make sure they know to help them succeed? Here's a general plan for parent-teacher conferences that I've made. Feel free to use it just as a little bit of a idea of some of the things you can say, or ignore it obviously and do your own. But this is just one way to help. With academic subjects, because I'm so short on time, I really only focus on math, reading, and add a little bit of writing in under reading, but making sure they know, see some of their work or test scores. I give examples of what is expected, especially for reading, how many words per minute and what it would look like. I make sure they know I'm helping them at school, and I make sure they know ways they can help them at home. If you have resources you can give out, give it out. Like some curriculums, I know they have those like math practice books. Give out that math practice book. If you have some reading papers, or you are sending home reading papers every week, let them know about them. Remind them of those resources and make sure you thank them for it. Listen to them, thank them for the support. Make sure they know you're available for questions or concerns if they think about things in the future, that we're a team, we're doing this together. So, here are some final general tips for building positive relationships with parents. Be genuine. People can tell when you're fake. It is hard sometimes when you have a student that is making it very difficult for you to teach all the other students you love in your class, but that student still matters. And there is something positive in every single person. And so find that one thing that you care about. Like, Maybe he always looks great at school. He dresses very nicely. Celebrate that. Even if it's just, hey, he's a leader. He's getting other kids to follow him. And I noticed that skill. Might be one he's using poorly and not in the right way, but he has it. Find that genuine positive thing you noticed about that child. Because if you go, oh, I love your child, and in your head you're thinking, I wish that child was never in my class, they're going to know. So be genuine. Find something you truly can appreciate about that child. One thing to help be genuine is remember every kid matters. Just reminding yourself, even when they've made your life very hard that day, they matter. And so finding that place where you can be genuine, like, hey, I am glad I have this opportunity to help them get better and build that relationship with their parents. But don't be fake. They will know. Focus on the child's success. Remember, you want the child to be successful at school. They want the child to be successful at school. So let's focus on that together, helping bridge that gap. That it's not you just want that kid in trouble. No, you want that child to succeed. So do they. And so building that partnership. Interpreters. What's available at your school or district? If you're don't have interpreters or someone who speaks the language of that student, ask if there's an interpreter available. Like if they are parent-teacher conferences, hey, can you bring a family member that does speak English? If not, Google can work. It's not perfect, but I have used it with talking to students before when I didn't have anyone available and I translated what I said from English to Spanish and just had Google read it. And then I had put it on for it to listen to what they said in Spanish back to me and listen to it in English. So it's not perfect, but if you have no other options, it is available for you. Translations. Once again, what is available at your school or district? Is there someone who can read the things and translate it for you? If not, Google works for me as well. I will put my document and then I can click. In fact, let me actually show you this on one of our documents. So if you go up to in Google and go to tools and go down, there is a translate document. And so choose the language you need. There's quite a few available to you, and it will then make a new document with this translated. So parents really appreciate having things in their home language, as I said earlier. Um, it matters to have it in their home language, and it shows that you care about the parents and that family connection. And it's also more likely they will help you because they understand what you're trying to tell them. This is a huge one. We all make mistakes. Give grace to yourself and others. Remember, you're not perfect. And sometimes you are going to mess up in dealing with a student or dealing with a parent. Be okay to acknowledge that, to be able to say, hey, I'm sorry I got so upset with you earlier today, Stacy. I was frustrated that you weren't following directions. Let's both take a deep breath and see if we can do better. And give yourself that grace. And then the same with parents. Parents are stressed, they're overwhelmed, and they have so much on their plate. So giving grace to that parent, remember they are trying and they are trying to do their best. And so that you're working together with them to build that partnership that, hey, I know that it's been really crazy time for you and your family lately. And I really appreciate that you're taking the time to listen as I'm giving you some ways that you can help them at home. Thank you for that. And giving them that grace and that understanding. Also remembering children make mistakes. It's going to happen. And so making sure parents know you recognize that they're making mistakes, that they're a kid, that they're learning, that, yeah, that choice was not okay, but that together, let's help them work through this to succeed next time. So, our learning target today was I know ways to build relationships with parents, and I am confident I can do it. So if you go back to that action notes page, if you were using that, you can go back to it and look through and see what you've been writing down of tips or things you want to do. And at the very bottom is how are you feeling more confident? I want everyone in this presentation just take a moment to think, do you feel more confident in building a partnership with parents? What's a tip you're going to do this year? What step will you take? Are you going to start the year with a letter home? Are you going to do ongoing communication with a newsletter or a post on your school's website? Are you going to do academic concerns right away? I hope so. Behavioral issues. Are you going to give yourself a script to help you work through it? Parent teacher conferences. What are you going to plan for? And just those general tips. So, what do you plan on doing moving forward? And I truly hope you do feel more confident because, as someone who did not feel confident at first, these steps really have helped me feel confident. And I have so many parents now that I still, even after kids have left my class, I'm still communicating with them and caring about them. And they're caring about me and letting me know, oh, yeah, this is what's happening in their life because we built that partnership. So, this was building partnerships with parents. I hope you learned and feel more confident from this presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at that email. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.